everybody, Zong gets 134 here.
And as always, I'm Average Joe Squad.
And welcome to a kind of prelude, basically.
Prologue.
Yeah, this
Prequel.
isn't really a
But we're not going to fill it with politics.
Yeah, this isn't really a remember the hyphen sort of thing. Oh, I just got that joke that you just said there. That's a fucking... You motherfucker.
Oh, with the prequels.
You motherfucker. So basically, it's the night before No Way Home comes out.
In fact, No Way Home is actually out in preview showings, which is why I spent all day off the internet and reading a Beatles book. Which, by the way, I forgot to tell you about this. Just to give an example how dedicated I was to avoiding spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
I have this big Beatles book I'm reading right now.
Right.
It's 860 pages total, excluding bibliography, excluding notes. I started it today, because I've been reading it for a while. I started on page 450. I'm currently sitting at 730, and this was in one sitting because I just sat down and read for like 4 hours because I'm like, nope, gotta avoid them spoilers. And they're on YouTube, so I can't watch YouTube right now.
Oh, that's easy. I just make sure I don't fucking see that shit.
So just an example of how dedicated I am and how hype I am, but through extension of just seeing this movie finally. Because how long have we been? Like, it's been months. We've been looking at leaks. We've been hearing rumors.
Yeah.
We've been memeing the hell out of everything and anything imaginable.
I mean, it's been longer than that because I want to say, like, the moment Into the Spider-Verse was a thing, it's been almost 2 years since they've been talking about.
That was really kind of where the ball started rolling.
Because the moment that happened, I remember news people were, and like Sony and Disney were like, we're in talks of making a live-action Spider-Verse film, which I'm assuming is what this is going to be.
Every leak I've seen has confirmed that.
Yeah. So, it's been a long time, like a very long time, like pretty much since the beginning of this podcast, we've been waiting for this film. 3 seasons, 2 fucking years of, hints and smoke and mirrors and lies and deceit and betrayal. That's for the TV show we're gonna make. That's not for the. But you get my point.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
Why?
Why are we making?
Why are you making? No, not why we. Why you?
You're gonna cough listen to this.
You listen here, you fucking animal.
Listen, Riley has control of the simp and the feet pics. He's too dangerous to be left alive.
I need him.
Anyway, as you were saying, I'm sorry. I had to.
But yeah, so like this movie is like, I don't want to say we have like super high expectations, except that we do.
Except I've made jokes of if I don't see Toby and Andrew, we're both going to be out of a theater in this town.
Yeah.
Which that's a joke before anybody says anything. That's a joke. It's not serious. That's just a joke.
But, yeah, so, like, I do have some high expectations for this movie. But to be fair, I would have high expectations going into any Spider-Man film. Because he's, like, my favorite character ever, aside from Batman. And, like, the idea that, like, we're gonna get all 3 Spider-Men in one film. Something I normally don't see outside of, like...
Memes.
Well, memes, and I also like stuff like Kamen Rider or like Doctor Who when they manage to actually get all the doctors that aren't dead together.
Or the Arrowverse.
Or the Arrowverse when they did
Flashes.
And Crisis on Infinite Earths. Or fuck, they got Burt Ward to come back. They
acknowledged the Birds of Prey TV show, which I think most of the world has forgotten about.
They got Kevin Conroy as Kingdom Come Batman. Who the fuck saw that coming? I didn't. But, so like, the fact that we're getting this for like a big cinema thing is honestly kind of impressive. Like, I've never thought that would be possible for anything. And to be fair, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Hollywood finally realizes people want to actually see this kind of thing. Like the fact that, like, Michael Keaton's apparently going to be in the Flash film. It's
already confirmed.
Already confirmed as, like, he's going to be reprising his role as Batman. Although whether he's going to be in costume or not is...
Oh, he's in costume. I've seen it. I've seen the
Holy
leak.
shit.
He's Batman, bro.
Well,
You know this. You
I
know
figured
he's
they were going to make
Batman,
him like
Adam.
old man Bruce. Like,
No, he's Batman. He's Batman.
But yeah, so like, this is honestly kind of... I feel like the MCU is at a crossroads right now. Whether they'll hopefully be crossing.
I want to be mad at you, but I can't.
Yeah, because you still have my book.
I don't expect you to forgive me. Adam.
I just want you to understand.
I just want you to understand. It's hard to fucking read.
No, that's fair. I make jokes, but it's mostly because it's been like a year and I want the book back at some point.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, so what are your expectations for when we go into this film?
To me, I feel like we're kind of at a variation of the same point we were when the first Avengers movie happened. Because if you remember right, for the first Avengers movie, when that came out, I remember that being a big deal.
Oh no,
because nobody had thought that was possible.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, at that point, you think about it, we hadn't even had a Justice League movie yet.
Yeah.
I'm not counting the shitty TV pilot. We're not talking about that because that didn't get released.
Oh, we're going to be talking about it at some point, just not in this video.
But you get what I'm saying. Like the fact that movie happened, was a big deal.
Oh hell,
the fact that this movie is happening now, is a very, very big deal.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hell, I still remember when fucking Nick Fury showed up at the end of the original Iron Man, and I was just like, are they doing what I think they're doing? And and that took 4 years for us to get there. And like you said, it was a very big deal. Like I remember going to see Captain America: The First Avenger in theaters, and that ending thing, especially the end when they did the James Bond, like Captain America will return in Avengers, and I was just like, what the hell are we doing? Like I legitimately, I never expected a movie where you would have Captain America and Thor and the Hulk and Black Widow and Hawkeye, all these characters in the same film. Like, and yeah, admittedly, the villain of that movie is just Loki getting the Chitauri down to fight, and they fight aliens.
But at the end of the day, it's the concept. That movie was something that for years people only could dream about, or do fan edits about. I mean, how many times did we see prior to that? Did we see fan edits of like Raimi Spider-Man palling around with the Fantastic Four, or Raimi Spider-Man hanging out with Daredevil? Like, I remember seeing those edits back in the day. And then, further even more when you had after post-Avengers, you had TASM with Avengers stuff. So it was, people have wanted this for a long time. People want to see everything connected. To me, it's like, for me, this film is partially achieving something that we see only usually in comic books, which is...
Or animation.
Yeah, where you can bring stuff back. I mean, if you had told me 2 years ago that we were going to be getting... not only Willem Dafoe back as the Green Goblin, but also
Alfred
Molina as Doc Ock,
Jamie
Foxx as Electro. I would have looked at you and been like, "Can I have a hit of whatever you're smoking?"
Yeah,
because you're making some good stuff. I want some of those ideas.
I mean, even going further, just the fact that like all this is centered around Spider-Man. Proving once again how
Spider-Man doesn't need anybody else. He can hold down a movie all by himself.
Like, just how much the Marvel Universe feels empty without him. Like, I remember like thinking that there was before he showed up in Civil War, there was no way we're ever going to see Spider-Man in there because he was owned by Sony. Like, if you would have told me that there would be movies where Spider-Man got to be a full-fledged Avenger and gets to actually live in a world where like while he's saving the day elsewhere, like the Avengers are fighting something in like the middle of Central Park, or like the idea that like an alien invasion could be happening while Spider-Man's dealing. Like, it's
the whole idea of like to kind of, I think I get what point you're making here. Is I'm reading a book right now called Ultimate Spider-Man, which is a collection of short stories. The second story opens up with him going to Joan and being like, "Hey, I got shots of the latest Avengers fight.
Yeah,
if you want it." Like just the fact that something like that can happen so casually.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to see it, but just enough to hear it is like enough to show that it exists.
I remember there's like an old issue of Amazing, like dirt old, and there's just a shot of Spider-Man swinging through New York, and all of a sudden Thor passes him. Like, it doesn't even explain what Thor's doing.
I know what issue that is. That is, because that's one of the ones I own. That was one of the ones my uncle had. That is the issue with... That is the first part of when the last showdown with him and Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Where he finds out Green Goblin is Norman. That's that issue.
Yeah, but the idea that, like, these characters aren't just separated into their own little worlds, that, like, they
all coexist in the same world.
Like, and not only that, like, it breathes so much life into these movies. The idea that, like, those kind of things can happen. Like, I don't think anyone ever believed that could be a thing, except for cartoons. You know, like, we've come a long way from the idea that, you know, like Batman the Animated Series, where you have Superman dressing up as Batman to help locate Bruce Wayne, or, you know, like Superman and the Flash in the Superman Animated Series doing the race around the world, you know.
For me, what this movie shows is really just what Marvel's doing right now in general. It shows to me is that they've kind of branched out into where they're doing the big stuff, like the big cataclysmic event stuff, but they're also doing street level stuff, you know, because they're starting to kind of flesh out things where it's like not everything needs to be a huge fucking world ending chance type of deal, because it's you and I and anybody who reads comics now, that's not always the case.
That's
why entire issues of comics where nothing is going on.
Hell, the Hawkeye TV show is about Hawkeye trying to get home for fucking Christmas, while also dealing with his own past. Like, that was something I actually really loved about the Hawkeye show, aside from the fact that it's based on one of the best fucking runs ever. Which, you like, if you love this show, you should pick up the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, because it's just like the book. Like, you'll love it. I mean, like, the fact that, like, we get to have, like, more stuff where it's cerebral and does character studies, like WandaVision did with Wanda, or, you know, dealing with more deeper politics and, like, you know,
how stuff is affected, like which was in
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You know, like,
it just shows to me that they've really matured and they're able to deal with every type of thing. It's not just we've got kind of circling back full scale to what we're talking about tonight with No Way Home, which is that I don't think there's any subject now that superhero movies couldn't tackle.
Yeah.
Like 5-7 years ago, I would say that there was stuff I would want superhero movies to do, to be deeper or deal with complicated subject matter, that I just don't think they would be able to do, because that's just where Hollywood was at that point. Because, you know, you know as well as I do, for decades they wrote off the superhero movie. It's kid stuff. You can't do that kind of stuff. You know, a superhero movie is big action, you know, colorful shit, and then it's all flash and no depth. You know.
Yeah. It was like with Joel Schumacher, how he's like, I want to actually make the Year One movie. I want to actually do like a character study of this character. But no, you're making toy film commercials, my man.
That's why Raimi was so different, you know, and why from that point on, you know, you had films coming out like, even as much as I don't like it, like Batman Begins or, like I said, Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah.
You could have films that dealt with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And which I think now we're seeing a part of the final step, which is that they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big deal of, is this a risk in doing this?
I mean, hell. And I always go back to this. They made a movie where one of the main characters is a talking fucking raccoon.
And it made money.
And it made money. Like, compare that to, like, when they did fucking Howard the Duck. Which, I mean, granted, that movie has a lot of problems.
Your kids aren't ready for that.
Yeah, but
your
like,
kids are gonna love it.
Like, now, like the fact that like they fucking hinted at Howard being a thing and that people want a Howard the Duck TV show.
I'd watch it.
Or Howard to show up in the films as a fucking character. Like we're allowed to do stuff like Howard the Duck and Squirrel Girl, and at the same time we can do stuff like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision. We
can do all kinds of crazy ass shit, like we just saw with Eternals. We can do all this galactic shit,
but we can also
that is like so far past what you would think a superhero film would be if you were just to like glance at it on a surface level.
Yeah, and we can do that, and we can also have a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man saving the neighborhood. You know, like it's nice to see just an actual cinematic universe. You know, because we've seen so many other attempts at doing that. But I just don't get it. Like, why the MCU works so well. It's because it actually feels like a universe. You know, as much as I would love the Godzilla monster stuff to actually be that way, it's just, it feels the same as like any other Godzilla film. As much as like I know people like it was cool that Kong and him got to fight. And it was cool that, like, you know, the King of the Monsters led into the idea with Mechagodzilla. But at the end of the day, that's still just any other Godzilla franchise. Because Godzilla's been doing that for decades, where, like, monsters come back from other films. You know, it's something I wish the DC universe would fucking get. That it's still having to restart. So I want to say we've still, you know, the Matt Reeves Batman is supposed to be, like, the new starting point again. But to be fair, that movie looks fucking good. So I think
that movie
I
looks
think
fucking amazing. I'm ready for that.
No, I think we're all ready for that. You know, the fact that like we're getting this now when like Batman had been doing this sort of shit for years. Like the Batman the Animated Series is technically the beginning of the DC animated universe, which led into Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited,
Static Shock,
Batman Beyond,
Zeta Project.
Nobody
remembers that shit.
That's because that's hard to fucking find. I don't even think that's on DVD.
I don't even think that's on DC. Like, I don't think you can get that on HBO.
Yeah. Well, because I want to say that was made out...
I don't even think it was on DC Universe when DC Universe was a thing.
Yeah, that I want to say that was made out of house. Because I want to say, like, it was made for something else or something like that. Either that or somebody owns the Zeta Project that DC doesn't own. It's not like with Static Shock where Dwayne McDuffie gave them Static Shock. But yeah, it's kind of funny that we're finally getting Spider-Man to that place, you know. And I mean, granted, Spider-Man himself did Spider-Verse years ago back in the '90s with the Spider Wars.
There's 3 actually.
Yeah, there's 3. Which, to be fair, I do feel bad for the guy who created the Spider-Man TAS, and Dan Slott actually he like created the idea of the Spider-Verse. I'm like, motherfucker, you did not. You didn't even create the idea of a fucking multiverse, Dan.
You didn't even make the good one.
Well, yeah, I'm like, what, you made a multiverse where it's nothing but Spider-Man? I've seen that shit for fucking decades in comics. Hell, Marvel wasn't even the progenitor of the multiverse. That was DC. When they did the Flash of Two Earths.
Although I will say Marvel has a better track record of it.
Depends.
In terms of the continuity making
well, in terms of continuity, yeah. But, like, I don't think they have nearly as much fun with their multiverse like DC does, where you can have fucking Batman as a pirate and a Catholic priest.
Well, you get what I'm saying. I
do know what you mean. But yeah, you know, it's just kind of wild, I guess.
For me, another thing that I've really kind of hinged on, in part because a friend of ours, Jonathan, was talking about. He's never seen me this hyped.
Yeah.
For a movie before, because everybody around us knows at work. You know how many times we've been asked about it?
Yeah.
Like, are you guys excited? Or
I got asked about it like twice today, and I'm like, yeah, I know it's gonna be good.
I got asked about I got asked about it by somebody, and I was like, I already got my ticket, bro. It's in my wallet right now, tucked in behind the credit card.
You know, the worst part about all this is there's other movies coming out this month, and
I just don't give a shit. I don't give any fuck. I'm more excited for Spider-Man than I am for Christmas.
Matrix 4 is coming out, and they're like,
who gives a shit?
You know, I love when Matrix 4's trailer came out. They're like, oh, we're gonna outdo Spider-Man No Way Home's trailer. I'm like, motherfucker, you guys haven't had a good movie.
Where's that Thor meme? It's like, is it though?
Is it though? Like, because I guarantee you, even if this movie is shit, which I doubt. I highly doubt it's gonna outdo Endgame.
You think it's gonna make more money than Endgame?
I absolutely do.
I mean, I'm already going to another showing the night after tomorrow. I'm going Saturday night with our buddy Jared. Like, I'm going for a second showing. In fact, you know what? Sunday night, I might be down for a third viewing, depending on how it is. I might call you up, be like, Adam, meet me up here at the goddamn theater. We're going again.
Fuck, I might actually do that, but
it's only the beginning.
But like, You know what's going to be hilarious if it does make more money than Endgame? This movie did.
Sony's gonna be like, I'm the fucking captain now. I don't care.
Well, no, I'm going to look everyone in the eye and be like, we only had 3 Spider-Men and 3 villains from other films. We didn't need no Thanos.
Well, actually, 5 villains.
Well, 5, but like the ones that the actors came back because I kind of have this feeling.
Well, no, the guy who does Lizard actually talked. I saw an interview with him. He actually talked. I'm pretty sure he's in it. The only one I haven't seen anything from now is the dude playing Sandman.
Well, you get my point though, right? Like,
I get what you're saying.
Like
out in the spotlight, we've only had 3. We've had Defoe, Molina, and Jamie Foxx.
Well, not only that, like in order for Endgame to make that kind of money,
there was years of build up.
Yeah,
we've had like what, a year?
Yeah,
since the hype started.
Like
the trailer broke the record in 24 hours.
I can't wait for fucking James Cameron to be a grumpy old man when this movie fucking beats Avatar. Like, I'm waiting for it because I know it's going to.
All of us looking at James Cameron. I beat you!
Yeah. Like, and, you know, as much as I'm excited for it, I do feel a little sad because, like, I kind of wish Stan could have been here to see his boy on screen. Like, and I know he got to see his boy on screen multiple times before.
Not like this. We're standing on the cusp of what is arguably going to be the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made.
Yeah. You know, we're going to see like, one man can make a difference.
Like this could outdo 2 for me. Like that's how hyped I am. I'm like, hoping all my hype and my expectations are met because like I said, if this movie is what I think it is going to be,
yeah, this
could dethrone 2 for me as the best Spider-Man movie.
I mean, it might dethrone 2 for me, but I don't know if it'll dethrone Spider-Verse. But that's mostly just because Spider-Verse is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I've stared at it for 4 hours now.
I know you've watched the trailer. This man, he watches the trailer over and over again just to feel something.
Listen, I was so hyped for it. I almost bought that golden cover of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse just to have another copy of Into the Spider-Verse. I might do it.
Be like me, where you collect variants.
Like, don't tempt me.
Look how many copies of the Raimi trilogy I own on DVD and Blu-ray. Why'd you get this? Is there anything different? No, just the cover's different.
Like,
just different packaging.
Not only that, we're getting Spider-Verse shit back to back because after this movie comes out next year, we're getting Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. And then Part 2.
Well, Part 2 is the next year.
Well, you get what I mean. Yeah, like we're gonna be inundated. This is gonna be the best fucking time to be a Spider-Man fan. And the last time the best time to be a Spider-Man fan was 2004. Like,
meanwhile, Sonny's over here like, I know you all didn't understand at first. I just want you to forgive me.
No, man, listen. I've forgiven Sony for a lot of shit when Spider-Verse came out. I forgave them for the fucking Emoji movie when Spider-Verse came out.
I forgave them for TASM 2, and that took me a lot.
I'll probably forgive them for TASM for this film. You know,
the only thing I can't forgive them for is canceling Spider-Man 4 on me.
Yeah. And can you imagine the two of us who have not really said the nicest things about the MCU Spider-Man films
or the TASM films,
and we're fucking excited to see an MCU Spider-Man film with TASM characters in it.
To be fair, with me and the MCU Spider-Man, my criticisms have always come out of I want to see the best.
Yeah.
I want something that's better than what we've had before, and it just thus far it ain't topped the Raimi trilogy for me. It's like I've always said if I criticize something, it's because I want it to be better.
Yeah. To be fair, I liked Homecoming a lot. I between it and Far From Home, I liked Homecoming a lot more. Although Far From Home had the better villain in my opinion.
But my biggest thing for me is that, with this hype.
Yeah.
I know that the minute I sit down in the theater, okay? Because I've been thinking about this all week.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being when I was a boy, sitting in the downtown movie theater at a very late showing with my mom and my dad. We sat on, I can tell you even where we sat in the theater, we sat on the right side up against the wall. Because that was the only fucking seats you could get. Everything else was packed.
Yeah.
Because you know what theater I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what theater. That theater, for reference, had one room that was only 10 seats.
It's also closed down now.
Yeah,
like
well,
that
thing
theater
was...
is reopened a couple times, but it's right now. It's closed again. I'm pretty sure it's a
Yeah.
dead theater at this point. But I remember watching that first movie and just being glued to the screen.
Yeah.
You know, and just being excited. You know, it's like I know that from every leak I've seen, Toby and Andrew are in this.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm believing at this point. That's where this hype is coming from.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like the last time I saw my favorite actor of Spider-Man was 2007.
Jeez, yeah.
I was literally not even in middle school yet.
I was...
Yeah, so for me, it's like it's taken me back. You
Yeah,
know, it makes me feel every bit as young as I was back then.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling, honestly.
Yeah.
To just be excited for a movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be this excited.
You know, it's funny you mention that because, like, for me, it goes back so far. Because I was old enough. Yeah, God, I feel so fucking old. But I'm old enough to remember a time when, you know, I was a little kid, about 5, 6 years old. And I remember a certain character came across my screen, sitting down. Power Rangers had just gotten over, and I was just like, "Well, Power Rangers is over for today. There's nothing else for me to watch." And then all of a sudden,
that Joe Perry theme came flying on.
and all of a sudden, Spider-Man's fighting robots and vampires and swinging through shitty CGI like buildings, and had that spider blood, radioactive spider blood. Like,
I want that to be my ringtone on my phone. I'm not gonna lie.
and I've been hooked on Spider-Man since then. Like, the first comic book I ever got was the Fox Kids tie-in to Spider-Man the Animated Series with Venom on the... I wish I still had it, but it got destroyed because I was too little to understand.
That's why I'm glad they finally traded those.
Yeah.
Honestly, they finally put those in trade paperbacks.
Like, in my opinion, that thing actually made Venom scarier than the actual comics because he was just like above Spidey and he had the teeth and the... you know, I learned to read via Spider-Man books from that. Like, the little kids book version of Spider-Man or Doc Ock Armed and Dangerous was one of the first things I ever learned to read with as a kid. You know, it's...
You're getting where I'm coming from
like,
with this. I remember the hype for when the movie came out on tape.
Yeah.
Like as someone who was in grade school, listen, I always remember this. And I don't know, I'm sure my buddies Brian and Colin are watching, and Brian might remember this. So first grade was the last year we had show and tell, okay?
Yeah.
You want to know how many people brought in that tape the day after, myself included? Yeah. I swear, we sat through like 5 people who were bringing that tape. I think the teacher was just like, okay, who else brought this?
Yeah.
We're just going to do you all at once.
No, I remember those movies were coming out when I was in middle school and early high school. And 3 when I was a senior in high school. Well, senior in high school. I would be picked on for pretty much any superhero or weird cartoon thing I liked, except Spider-Man. Because, and this was us, we were teenagers. You know how hard it is to get a teenager to fucking agree on anything?
I'm aware. I was a teenager once.
You
would have hated me as a teenager, just saying.
You would have hated me as a teenager, but we all agreed that the fucking Raimi films was the shit. Like, you know, like, I still remember getting my VHS copy of Spider-Man 1 and popping that sucker in.
Because you and I have the same version with that red hero video sticker on the front.
Yeah. Like, I can't tell you how many times I popped that movie into my VHS player and watched it.
One time he came over to my house when we were watching tapes. I actually found my childhood copy of that. And you can ask him. We put it in the rewinder and it was actually locked up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't budge, like, because it was old. It's like we actually had to force it into the VCR to get it to play.
And God,
because that thing even us looking at it was so horribly degraded at that point. Like,
Yeah.
the color was all knocked off of it and stuff.
I mean, hell, the fact that you and I had the fucking trailers memorized.
Oh, that was
like, like,
that was funny. That was great.
like the fact that I
Never
was
seen I Spy, but listen,
Yeah.
I can recite
Like,
you that
that
trailer
fuck-
off
no.
that tape.
as someone who has seen I Spy, you're not missing anything because that trailer was the only good part of that movie. Although admittedly,
Size matters.
Yeah.
Except in the spy world, it's reversed.
and you want to see how small and sleek and sexy this is.
I don't know how huge this
is. Which I'm like. Although, admittedly, that scene where they're on the trailer full of like cars, where they're dropping cars to like get them. That actually is not a bad action scene as someone who's watched that movie.
No, don't come in here.
Oh, come on, I can't at least get a peek. I'm gonna be 009 and a half. Is what we call a little innuendo.
Or what was the one that killed me was the
the spy mask.
no the trailer was the soundtrack trailer.
Oh yeah.
Because you've seen how many copies of that I own.
Not only that.
I'm looking for the cassette version of that because it was released on cassette. I'm looking for it because I want it.
Well, the funniest thing for you and me was when they showed that fucking cell phone camera.
Oh, the Singular one? Yeah, Singular doesn't even exist
No,
anymore.
I was like, no, I still remember that because like you were like, I think you didn't remember that one, but I was like, oh, when are we gonna get that cell phone? And
I
you're
didn't
like, what are you
remember that.
talking
I
about?
didn't remember that one at all.
But then it came on, you were just like,
I was like, oh, this shit. I remember now.
Yeah, it activated like your fucking neurons, man. Like I remember that.
Stay tuned after the feature presentation for a music video presentation of Hero by Chad Kroger.
Meanwhile, we were supposed to hang out with Lee that day.
We were late because we're like, we gotta watch the intro.
We gotta watch the intro, despite the fact we've seen this movie 500 fucking times.
If we had more time, I was even like, bro, I want to fast forward this and I want to watch the music video. So,
we got at least see the scene where he gets fucking impaled on that glider. I gotta watch Norman die. I can't.
speaking of moving back onto the hype, that's one thing I'm really hyped for is Willem Dafoe. Because Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin for me is the fucking absolute pinnacle. Pinnacle.
Listen,
of supervillain in a movie.
Him and
Willem Dafoe.
Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. I'm just like,
the stuff I've seen where he's like, one of his conditions coming back was he's like, listen, if I come back, I want to do my own stunts. And he's like, I want to do my own fight scenes. I'm like, this man knew what we wanted. He cared. He was like, I'm ready to. I built this company.
Like the fact that Molina, who, for the record, does Broadway and like all these really big movies.
Yes,
like he was doing Fiddler on the Roof while he was doing Spider-Man 2. Like the fact that like
he narrated a documentary of Joan of Arc. Because I have it on DVD, and the sticker on the back says, narrated by Alfred Molina of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. But like, and nothing against Willem Dafoe or Jamie, like they're great actors too, but like Molina is like, he's like the guy
he's
who played,
a classy actor.
He's like the guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in a New
Alec
Hope.
Guinness?
Yeah, he's like Alec Guinness. Alec Guinness. Like this dude is like, no, I could be doing all this,
but I'm gonna do this.
But I'm going to do this because everybody loves me in this. Like the fact that like Molina still loves playing Doc Ock is, I don't know. It's something that really warms my heart.
The one that gets me is Dafoe saved that laugh.
Oh,
he can still do it.
Well, that's like
hearing it in the trailer was like was awe-inspiring.
That's like and I love this story because when they were doing the Scrooge McDuck Christmas Carol, because Disney likes to bring actors back. They brought the original Donald Duck in. This was actually the last time he performed as Donald. This man was like almost 90 years old. And he came in and he's like all hunched over and wobbling with a cane. And all the people are like, oh God, if he can't do it, we're going to have to not make this movie. Like everything was riding on this. And he comes into this and he taps on the mic and he coughs and acts like he's not going to do it. And then all of a sudden, he just starts cussing as Donald Duck about this fucking mic, and if you don't, and I was like, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that, where he just, he knows, like, they're like, oh, they think I'm old. I'm gonna fuck with them a little bit. I don't, like, I would have loved it. Defoe was like, hang on, I gotta make sure I can do the laugh. Could you hold on a second? And then he just started doing the and just Feige being like, "Oh God, we got us a movie."
I want to know how many takes were aborted because Tom Holland couldn't contain himself.
Oh my God, no! Because listen, he like I love Holland purely for the fact that he is just as much of a Spider-Man fanboy as the both of us. Like him and Andrew Garfield both like are just. I feel like poor Tom's gonna be like, why am I here?
Yes.
Like, you guys got the actual Spider-Man up here on this. Why are we doing a film about my Spider-Man?
Yeah, so it's just, for me, it's just like, again, it's like, I haven't seen this Green Goblin on the big screen since 2002.
Yeah, God.
And I'm gonna have it again.
Yeah,
like, that's the biggest part for me, is I'm like, at the very least, if the movie's bad, and I don't think it will be, at the very least, I got me some more Willem Dafoe as the Goblin.
Let me tell you,
when I showed you, I remember when, because I told you this, because he didn't watch the second trailer with me. I was watching it in my meat cooler. And when he came out of the cloud with the full Goblin armor and shit, I fucking lost it.
No, I don't blame you.
The sound that left my lips was inhuman.
I still remember when we got the reveal that Molina was Doc Ock and he had the, "Hello, Peter." I'm like, it was like I was fucking a 12, like 14,
it's like
12, 14.
That meme of Ratatouille where it's like you're having a flashback.
No, or like that one fan comic someone made when the first the first of the new trilogy for Star Wars came out, and it had that scene where, you know, Han and Chewie board the Falcon again. "We're home, Chewie," and all of a sudden it shows like an adult watching it, and all of a sudden they're like a little kid watching it. Like, like that. This was my.
That was your version of this.
That was my version of that. I was suddenly 12 years old again.
I'm also really excited to see Jamie Foxx and the guy who plays the Lizard get a chance at redemption, because I know for years they were the butt of everybody's jokes because of their involvement with TASM.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really glad that Feige gave them another shot.
Yeah.
Because I think that from what I've seen of Jamie Foxx as Electro through these trailers, dude, he's gonna knock it out of the park.
No, because again, Jamie Foxx is a good actor. I love him in Django Unchained, and I've seen him in other stuff, and I love him in those. Because again, I don't really blame a lot of the actors in the web films. That wasn't their fault.
That was studio fucking.
Yeah, that was the studio, because they're like, we have to do everything the opposite of the Raimi films because the Raimi films are hokey and shit. Because that was where we were at back in 2010, because we had to do everything different, because everything we liked before was shit. We got to do it new. Meanwhile, the MCU was still trucking along, being like, no, we're just going to keep doing the same shit we've always been doing. I think at the end of the day, I think the one thing that I think you and I are both at least happy for with this film is they got so many people remembering that the Raimi films exist and that they're good. Because, I remember, after 3 kind of killed a lot of people's faith in it.
There salted the water a little bit.
Yeah, there were so many people that complain about the Raimi trilogy. They're hokey, or they're corny, or about how Tobey Maguire's a terrible Spider-Man, which we're not going to go into because we've ranted for
I don't feel like murdering my vocal cords telling people that you can have your opinion however wrong it is.
Well, then we've talked about how great these movies are for 5 fucking hours already.
Yeah.
Both on my channel and Remember the Hyphen's 2-year anniversary.
Which you got to see us reciting dialogue verbatim.
Yeah.
Complete with voice work.
But I think you can agree. It's nice to see people kind of remember how much. I think it's nice that the Amazing films are getting a little bit of love too.
Yeah, because as much as I take issue with those films, there's good bits in them. I've always said TASM, the first TASM film, I can sit and watch.
Yeah.
It's not the one I'm gonna instinctively go to and throw in my player, but
if
it were on TV, I'd plop it on and watch it. I'd have fun with it.
I'd certainly be.
There's parts of it I don't care for, but at the end of the day, it's a decent movie.
Yeah, my problems with the Holland films, they're really minuscule. My problems are just more the way the MCU treats the character than it is the actual movies.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this movie just because of the fact that Holland's not dealing with yet another character that's mad at Tony Stark. Like, I'm so fucking tired of the
Yeah, they're pissed at him, just not him, a different version of him.
Like, I'm just so tired of the sins of the father bullshit with him and Tony. And yeah, I know it wasn't as true with Vulture, because the Vulture simply wanted to steal from Stark because he wanted the tech, and it was a good way to give a little middle finger to Tony. But, like, you know, that was like my biggest complaint with Far From Home, was just the fact that we got Mysterio, a really good Mysterio, for the record. I loved everything about that Mysterio.
I want them to bring him back, because there's no way he's dead. I'm sorry. I'm not believing for a minute he's dead.
I still know people that tell me that he died. I'm like, no, he fucking
didn't. I've seen Mysterio die thousands of times.
Did you watch the shit he did in that film? Are you telling me he can't fake his own death? Like,
can I get that? Can I get a picture of that comic book cover where he's pulling the helmet off and there's no head?
Yeah.
Can someone pull that up real quick?
You know how many times I've watched this man shoot himself in the head? Like it's amazing Beck hasn't accidentally shot himself. Like, with how many times I've watched him blow his own brains out. You know what? It would be amazing is if he came back in a Daredevil film like he did in Guardian Devil, and it's just and Matt has no time for his bullshit and just whoops his fucking ass. Like, wouldn't it be amazing?
I'll shove that fishbowl up your ass.
Like, it's just, you know, you just get a scene of Daredevil in a fucking hallway with Mysterio, and he's just beating on the fucking fishbowl until it breaks. And then you see like a skull, and he just rips the skull mask off. He's like, I don't got time for this, Beck.
All I can remember from you, all I can think of when you saying that is that scene in the PS1 game where he's interrogating Mysterio, and he's like, I don't have time for this, and he smashes the fucking the bowl, and Mysterio's just like, oh right. It's like, oh my god, like he's mad he can't keep fucking with him.
No, like that. Oh, that'd be good. But you know, like I'm just so glad to see like the Raimi films being talked about in a positive light for once.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, especially because, like, you know, back when I was still a fan of the Nostalgia Critic, even I hated his complaints about most of the Raimi films. Like, I still remember when he did the Spider-Man 2 versus Amazing 2, and he tried to defend that Amazing 2 is better than Spider-Man 2. And I remember sitting through that video, and I'm like, well, that's just factually wrong. Because I've sat through
Not only are you wrong, you're also stupid.
Like, no, like... Because I know Doug showed me a bit of when he was reviewing the Raimi trilogy, and I'm like, God, you are like everything.
Listen, man, all Doug told me was he started bashing Kirsten Dunst's MJ, and I was like, well, I gotta go kill this man now, and I didn't want to do it, but I guess I gotta do it.
He showed me that clip where like they were making fun of the scene where he's talking to the mask and by the fireplace, and I'm just like, he's nuts. I don't know what the fuck you all want. Like, you all can accept when the Joker does wacky shit.
The minute the Green Goblin wants to talk to himself.
Yeah, he's like talking like his inner demons
or starts singing and shit. Y'all want to rip a man apart for it.
Yeah, but no, I mean, everyone was like jerking off when in TASM 2, because back when people still liked TASM 2, they're like, oh, that scene where Electro was playing Itsy Bitsy Spider on the electric diodes with Spider-Man was so fucking great. I'm like, no, it fucking wasn't. You're full of shit. Yeah. But
that's just, like I said, that's just what I'm excited for. Is just it's a very hard feeling to describe to someone who either doesn't have that same love of Spider-Man that you and I do.
Yeah.
Or I would even argue it's a little hard to explain if you weren't around for the first go with the Raimi films, because that's where so much of my hype is coming from, is that, you know, it's been a decade and a half, and I'm finally going to get to see my Spider-Man again.
Yeah, you know,
that's what's... I can't even describe it. Like, that's just... It makes me speechless.
You know, and also for me, it's great because it feels like we're at that point again where Spider-Man is beloved by pretty much everyone again. You know, because I feel like we were at a point, like, especially after TASM 2, where everyone just kind of gave up on the character. Unless you were, like, a diehard like you and I, where we live by the Spider-Man, we die by the Spider-Man. You know, it's just nice to see a character who, for so many people, is the character that like they themselves believe that believe that they are. You know, like at the end of the day, everyone's a little bit Peter Parker. You know, like where through your ups and your downs, like you've somehow managed to persevere in spite of yourself, and it's just it's really hard to explain because it's just nice that like we've kind of come again back to where the character is once again like back as a popular icon, especially because for the last 10 years have not been kind to Spider-Man.
We just now got the comics back to where they should be.
Like we're finally
after
starting
the disaster
you know,
that was Dan Slott's run.
You know, and the fact that I feel like Marvel and Disney had let Spider-Man kind of be mediocre for a long time because they didn't have him in the MCU, which I feel is the same that they did with the X-Men in a
Fantastic Four.
In Fantastic Four. Well, the Fantastic Four, they straight up were like, no, we're just gonna fucking murder them off. You know, like they couldn't, which sadly just because of their popularity, because they couldn't do that with the X-Men or Spider-Man, just because the X-Men and Spider-Man are like where most of their money comes from. You know, it's kind of funny because like I feel like for a long time they tried to be like we can do it without Spider-Man. You know, like it was so funny how much they pushed like Captain America and these characters that they again let wallow for years, like not sure what to do with any of them. And then the Iron Man movie came out and they're like, oh, we can actually like do shit with these characters. You know, and until Civil War came out, basically, like they just kind of let him be. You know, and to be fair, it's funny, even though after he showed up in Civil War, it's taken them so long to finally get Spider-Man back to where he should have been always, in my opinion. You know, like, because at the end of the day, like, and I always worry about this when the MCU finally stops. You know, Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, they'll be popular now. But I always worry that they won't nearly have the popularity that they will when the MCU ends. But there is one character I know, regardless of what you do to him, no matter how many times you knock him back down,
he keeps getting
back up. Because there will always be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Enough said.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Again, guys, No Way Home comes out tomorrow. It'll be tonight by the time I upload this and have it up here on YouTube. So stay tuned for our review of the movie with probably the biggest cast of motherfuckers ever assembled in this vehicle.
Like and not only that,
we need to figure out how the fuck we're doing this.
Well, we pretty much we're just gonna have to drop all the shit that's on the seat onto the ground, and then we'll put.
We can transfer stuff to my car if need be.
Yeah. And not only that, this is gonna be probably the only time we're gonna have Spidey-Miss come out
while there's a
Spider-Man movie going on. It's not gonna be a hypefinated review.
This is gonna be a full fucking.
This is a full-fledged Remember the Hyphen episode.
It's gonna be at least an hour. At least an hour.
At least an hour. Because especially because
so if you're not ready for that, it's time to fucking start preparing.
Yeah. So look forward to that, guys. We're out. We're not even gonna give you the fucking ending. We're going. Take care.
And have a good night.